Hello friends, Tanya here with day 13 of the 13 days of Craftoween from Spellbinders 2025. It's the last day. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh, I'm kind of sad for it to end. This is folder number 13, and what do we have? We have this really cute coffin with a wood grain right in the lid. So cute. So here are all of the elements die cut. We've got a skull and crossbones that we're going to adhere just to the front of the card. We don't need a backer for this skull since it's going right on the coffin. Unless you're going to have a coffin that's a color other than a dark color, that would show up well. We're going to add the crossbones right under the skull. And there are a couple more that you can add if you want to add a little bit of extra dimension or if you want individual bones for other things. I've used the onyx assorted treasured cardstock to die cut the very shiny, so that would be the metallic black cardstock. And I have cut the inside from some red cardstock and from the pearl metallic cardstock for the backer. We'll just center that lining for the coffin. And then I have a couple of bones here. I'm going to crisscross those in another orientation than the ones on the front of the card. Just going to add a little bit of glue to the back of those and adhere those right inside our coffin. There is also a little hand reaching to open the coffin as if there is someone coming out of the coffin. There are many different sentiments in the stamp set that comes in the 13 days of Craftoween, which I love those sentiments. There's some really awesome sentiments in there. Next, we're going to take the Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink, and we're going to ink blend an entire panel, 8.5 by 5.5 inch panel of cardstock with this Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink. My ink pads are very juicy. I'm going to use this acrylic block to help me hold the paper down while I'm doing the ink blending so I don't get fingerprints all over the ink blending and so I don't get ink all over my fingers. Now that that's ink blended, I did realize that the Candy Apple Red Distress Oxide ink is almost identical to the Poppy Color Wheel cardstock. So if you wanted to skip that ink blending portion, you sure could. Next, we're going to take the 3D embossing folder called Damask from the Simon Hurley Spooktacular collection that just came out. And we're going to use some aged mahogany Distress Oxide ink. I'm applying that direct to the embossing folder with my ink pad. And after I swipe it on there a few times, I'm going to do a dabbing motion to make sure I have lots of ink on that folder. Next, we'll close the lid on the embossing folder and run that through the die cut machine. And that creates a beautifully distressed embossed background. Now to clean the embossing folder, I just spray it with my, it's just soapy water, dish soap in a large spray bottle, like for cleaning, household cleaning stuff. And I spritz that over the folder and use my microfiber cloth to remove all of that ink. I think that turned out amazing. Next, we're going to take the foundry wax in Gilded and we're going to add some more distressing but in a metallic fashion. So I'm just going to add dabs and swipes and smears of this all over the pattern just in a random way. It seems very blobby right now, but it'll look gorgeous in the end. It will definitely achieve the look I'm going for. Now if you want a gilded appearance over all of this evenly, then I would use something like the gilding polish, like the Cosmic Shimmer gilding polish or the Simon Hurley solar paste, something that you have a little more control over, but this really works well for grungy or distressed looked items. Then you're going to use your heat tool to make this melt and turn shiny. That is necessary to use with the gilding or to complete the use of the foundry wax. If you don't use the heat tool, it will not stay. It could just become real dry and powdery and flake right off of your project. And it doesn't get this shiny texture until you use your heat tool and melt it and turn it it just turns out so beautiful. I love the name of these, foundry wax. It makes it sound very grungy and distressed, which is perfect for the look you're looking for here. That finishes the whole panel. I'm just going back over to make sure that I've gotten all of the areas I need to get heated. And we're going to make another box card. I made one a couple months ago. This is 5 by 8.5 inches, and we're going to score the long side at 5 inches. And I'm questioning myself, 5 and 7 inches, and then we're going to turn it. And on the short side, we're going to find the 2.5 inch mark and score down to the 5 inch mark. So so then you're going to trim off part of this. This is forming a backdrop for your panel, for your box. And then we're going to take a smaller piece. This is 2.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and we're going to score this at 5 and 7 inches also. So this is the second half of the box. You can leave those other panels on your box, but this works out the best for me. It creates this area in the background and no floppy pieces on the front. It cuts down on all the things you got to decorate. We're also going to make 3 bridges for your box here. These are 1 inch by 6 inches, and we're scoring at 1/2 inch and 5.5 inches on all 3 of these bridges. Now that we have all of our scoring done, we're going to start assembling the box. I'm going to take the front and the back of the box, and I'm going to adhere those together. Now my flap is pretty long. That adds some extra stability to your box. You don't have to make it quite that long, but you know, I just have scraps we'd have to throw away. So this is the leftover piece of that embossed panel from the 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of cardstock. After I trim down the other pieces we're going to use to decorate the outside of the box. So it's just a little bit short for the whole back panel, but since we're covering it and that'll be on the inside of the box, that's okay. It covers the majority of the area, so unless you're tipping it and looking inside the box, you're really not going to notice that the pattern doesn't extend all the way to the bottom. Now for the bridges, okay, I goofed up here. You should start more towards the back of that side panel, closer to the red panel instead of here. Yeah, start with the furthest back arch first, this one that I'm doing right now, and nudge that all the way back to the fold. And then your first bridge won't be so close to the front that it isn't very effective in your scene building. I did ultimately still use it, but it would have been better if it was a little further back in our box. Now I'm going to fold all of those little tabs back on our bridges and make sure they're laying flat. Fold our box back over that to adhere them to the other side panel of the box. And once those are secure enough, I will pull up the front panel, add glue to the flap that we're going to complete the box construction with, and adhere that down. Then we're going to take our decorative panels for the front. We've got 2 that are 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. And we have 1 that is 2 1/4 by 4 3/4. So this is going to be the very front panel of the box, and the other 2 are the side panel covers. So I'm just going to add some glue to the back of this panel. And amazingly, well, I did use heavyweight white cardstock. So this is 110 pound or 100 pound white cardstock. Before I started with the ink blending and the embossing and then the foundry wax. Lots of stuff going on that paper. It held up very well. It doesn't seem to be warped at all, which, yes, I love it. We'll adhere those to the outside of the box. And this is going to make it a very dramatic looking box. Just one more panel. I'm trying to pay attention to the direction of the embossing because it does have a direction. There is a heart in the middle of that damask design, and if you adhere it in the wrong way, it'll look like an upside down heart. So there I'm showing you that one bridge is a little too close to the front. Now for the back of the card or the box, we're going to use this 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 inch panel. And I'm going to ink blend that with the Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink again. This is going to fold down to 5 by 7 sized. You could make a smaller card, but I really love this size. It's got a lot of impact and you can jam a lot of stuff into a box this size. Next, we're going to add some just random splotchy areas of the aged mahogany, just so it has a little more depth and matches the rest of the color scheme. And then we're going to take the gilded foundry wax and we're going to add some gilding to the edges of this panel. So I just have a glob of the gilding foil, or sorry, the foundry wax on my finger, and I am able to get two sides of the panel done with each squirt of foundry wax on my finger. And I'm kind of using the edge of the paper to scrape the excess foundry wax left on my finger. Then we're going to take our heat tool and melt all of that foundry wax along the edge, and it creates this beautiful gilded look. You could do this with gold paint too. There are lots of ways to do this. But when you're using the same product in multiple ways, you have coordination of color and texture that you can't match any other way. Just making sure I got all of the gilding all the way around the edges. And then we can adhere that to the back of the card. But before that, I think I stamped on the back of this before we do that. We're going to take the Hero Studio August kit of the month, the Abraham and Katrina. There are some beautiful scripty fonts in here. We're going to take one of those sentiments and its coordinating die, because everything has a coordinating die in that stamp set, and we're going to stamp it with some Versamark embossing ink on black cardstock that I've treated with an anti-static powder tool. I'm going to stamp this 2 or 3 times with the Versamark ink, and then I'm going to do some embossing with the gilded embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. This is a nice color, and it does do a nice shiny raised image. Now this is a pretty fine detailed stamp or sentiment, so maybe next time I would use the VersaFine Clair ink in whatever color and then do the embossing, and that might make it a little more crisp. This is still quite readable though. I'll die cut this with the coordinating sentiment die that comes in the Hero Studio August 2025 card kit of the month, which is a really great value. It is now too late to order that. If there are extras available, they will be for sale on the website next month. Probably, I think they release them, any extras, after the release of the newest month. I'm adding some extra glue and an extra layer, not extra glue and an extra layer behind this sentiment before I add it to the front of the card. We are going to take that really cute coffin from the beginning of this video, and we're going to adhere that inside our card on one of the bridges. We're going to use, I think that's the furthest back bridge, and I'm just making sure that it sits low enough on our card so it will still fit inside a 5 by 7 envelope. Just going to get this sandwiched over the bridge, one on the front and one on the back. That adds a little dimension and beauty. Here we've got some acetate scraps. These are actually cut from the packaging from the wax seal of the month. I don't keep them in those boxes, but the boxes are handy to trim down for little acetate picks for adding dimension and floating elements on your cards, especially 3D projects. So I've added those little picks to the back of our cute little vampire from day one on the Craftoween box, and we'll adhere that inside our box on the second bridge. Again, making sure he's going to fit inside the bounds of the 5 by 7 shape. And I just want him to tilt a little bit. It looks like he just jumped out of his coffin. And now we're going to take another set of acetate picks and put that behind our sentiment to add to the very front of this, the first bridge on this box. Just going to add glue to the front or the beginning and the end of that sentiment, and then we'll adhere that to the inside of our first bridge. Now I'm trying to make sure that this is nice and level on the front of our card. Now that we have the bridges occupied, let's add this bat. Actually, this is from the Infinity Dies, the Bats selection. And I had used this on, I don't remember which day, but it was was it like day 5 maybe, with the stack of Spellbound books. And I had some extra bats, and I thought, why not? That fits perfectly with this theme. So I added a pick behind that one, and we have another embossed. So these were embossed with the 6x6 rubber stamp of the month. And it just has a really pretty scripty font. And here's that Infinity Bats die from Hero Arts. It's lots of sizes of bats in here. And I needed a couple more. So I grabbed a piece of black cardstock and I cut 4 of the same size. And we're not going to use all of these, just some of them. I add a bat to the backdrop behind our vampire. And I also took a skull from the Day 12 die set, and I add black to the back, and we do another pearl metallic skull, and then we'll adhere that to the front of the box, overlapping a little bit of the bat. Next, I'm going to add a sentiment from the stamp set that comes in the 13 Days of Craftoween. And we're going to stamp that on the panel on the back. I have another bat that we're going to place for, so it helps us figure out the placement for the sentiment. And I'm using the sentiment, have a hauntingly good time. I'm going to stamp that 2 or 3 times with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And then I'm going to take some clear embossing powder, add that to our VersaFine Clair inked sentiment, shake off the excess, and then use my heat tool to make that raised and shiny. I do love a little heat embossing. It's so pretty. I've had the same heat tool for probably 20 years. They don't wear out, at least not in my experience. Next, we're going to adhere this to the back of our box card. Just going to add some glue with my precision fine tip, no, I think it's called a fine line bottle with the Barely Art Precision Glue. And that will frame in quite nicely. This back portion is 5 by 5 inches, which is why the 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 inch piece fits perfectly in there. Next, we're going to adhere that bat to the back of the card. Just going to center that below the sentiment, and you can easily write above that for a personal message to whoever is going to receive this card. That completes our card, and here is a 5 by 7 envelope. I'll show you how easily this slides right in to a 5 by 7 envelope, and it is thin enough to mail without a ton of extra postage. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really had fun putting together this box card. Box cards are always so fun, and they are really not that difficult to create. They don't require any extra dies either. This was the 13th day of the 13 days of Craftoween. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that there's enough response to this that they'll do it again next year. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done that, and check that description box below for all of the products that I used today. They will be linked in that one link, listed in one link. And until next time, here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Bye-bye.